So welcome everybody who's watching this. We are here watching this for Day for Staff Networks. We are not recording this on Staff Network Day, but we are being prepared in advance. So I'm just going to do a quick round of introductions for anyone who doesn't know us. I'm Kat Denver, she, her pronouns. I'm the chair of the LGBT Staff Network. We have Vic Clark here representing Women's Voice. We have the magnificent Terry Pycroft representing the Disability and Wellbeing Network. The exceptional Rebecca Cook representing the Black, Asian and Minority Ethnic Staff Network. Helen Saunders here representing Exceptional Healthy Mind people, and Medj Chaudhry here representing the Carers Network. Sadly, we don't have our representative Sasha Walton, who represents Early Careers, but normally she's here too. So we are here to sort of talk to you a little bit and give you a sense, a flavour of what staff networks are in the council, what it's really like, and how what this day sort of means to us as a collective. So this will be relatively informal. Please enjoy listening to us get on and chat away. So the first question I have for everybody is, what do staff networks do?
Well, we don't normally get recorded for for shows on YouTube, but we're here representing staff and are looking after staff around protected characteristics. And I think part of that role also is to identify that back to senior leadership team as well, and support and tell them where we think things aren't okay and what needs to change.
Yeah, I'd say we act as a bridge, as a voice between staff and managers to make sure the voice of our colleagues gets through to managers.
I think it's a great space for either like-minded people who share the same kind of experience or specific characteristics, where you can meet in one place to talk on lots of different topics, have a good time, network, and sometimes even talk about challenges that we all face as well.
Yeah, and I think added to that, it's about support, having somewhere to go to for support, to be able to speak to people who understand what you may be going through or what your issues may be, and be able to direct you or support you through that process.
And I think it's a place for celebration as well, and to celebrate our diversity, and when we've got events in the year for us to come together and really have a sort of to understand what that means and what that's about and where we've come from, and where we need to get to.
I think that's entirely fair, yeah. And I think it's interesting, in the words of the great Audre Lorde, we don't lead single issue lives because we're not single issue people. So lots of things cross over for many of our characteristics, like, you know, women who are neurodivergent, or people who are carers who might also be from a Southeast Asian background, or, you know, gay people with disabilities. There are so many, you know, there are so many things that across it, and that's also the framework, the space we're all in now. The heads of the network, or leads or representatives, come together to talk about those things as well, because so much of our shared experience is about the things we go through. They might not be the same looking at the details, but a lot of we go through similar issues in the workplace and outside of it.
Yeah, totally agree.
And I think there's also a sort of point as well, is that in terms of what staff networks, I think sometimes people think we're just here to, I think there was a historic view that we were just here to cause trouble. And sometimes we do. I think that, I think the term is critical friend, if we're being polite. But I think that's important to remember, that, you know, we're also here to point out when we don't think things are right for people. And, you know, whenever people are facing, either individual people or groups of people are facing experiences in the council that, you know, don't mean that this is always the best place to work, or that they're not feeling supported in a way that maybe everyone else does. So I think that's important to remember as well, is that we are peer support, but that sometimes that does also mean that it's being open and honest about the challenges that being can be in the workplace.
I think sometimes people don't know where to go when they need help. Yes, there are trade unions, but, you know, there's other colleagues, but there's staff networks are another forum that, you know, you can get support through, and we'll deal with things in an anonymous way as well. It is about kind of resolving those issues, or, you know, trying to find a solution. So yeah, I think we have a really important part to play in the organisation.
I think we also learn from each other as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've got a really good team of network leads here, and I think, you know, we can go to each other and we can learn from each other. That's what I get from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say that, you know, we do this on top of our day job, and sometimes people don't realise that. And we're learning, just like you've said, Helen, and, you know, none of us have done this before. It's something that we are volunteering to do in our own time. And so, you know, it's very important that we work in a collaborative way, which we have been doing for a couple of years, because we're all at different stages of our journey in terms of our network. Some are newer, some are older, some have got more members, more kind of steering people on the steering group. But that's key, because there's been loads of stuff we've done together, and we wouldn't have been able to deliver if it hadn't have been that collaboration.
And actually, we've seen just real improvements in the way we've moved issues forward as well when we've come together to work on them as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
Yeah.
I think also one of the real joys, I think, for being in a staff network, but also being in this space, in like with the chairs, the leads, the representatives, etc., is that this work is challenging, but we love it.
Yeah.
And being in a room of people who are aggravated and passionate, but want to get this right for people, is really one of the best experiences of being in the council. Like I can't sort of say, like, being chair for 3 years, these meetings are some of the highlights of my month. And sometimes it is that we are just moaning and groaning about some of the experiences we're happening, or, you know, concerns about how things are taking so long to do. But actually being in a space with people and listening to the challenges everyone else is facing and having that shared common ground has just been brilliant.
It's good when you can get results, though. That's what I like, when we come together, you know, when we are facing challenges and we do come together, you know, and we come together as like a team, and, you know, we put things out there and we do get results from, you know, from talking to one another.
I mean, I think that's a good point, Helen, because I mean, sometimes people don't see what we do. And I think, you know, there are lots of things that we have contributed to or instigated to be done to kind of better the organisation. I mean, from my perspective, the carers staff network, you know, we started off and instigated the carers passport, to something that was being done kind of outside in all sizes of organisations, and that's a document to, you know, help someone who's got caring responsibilities have a quality conversation with the manager, not have to repeat everything. But it took us 2 years to get to a point where that was actually, you know, kind of out there on Insight for managers and staff to be able to use. And I think Terry, with the disability passport, again, similar story there. And I'm sure all of you have got things that, you know, you've kind of prompted, pushed, you know, kind of been involved in to get done, like the events we do as well.
I think for the disabled staff and inclusion accessibility agenda, I think we've had a lot of influence, not only inwardly facing, certainly had a lot of building changes going on internally, which are really important. I think it's important that people on the network get a chance to see other organisations coming in and presenting what they're doing and having some input. Newmarket approach, a lot of the building there, very accessible and inclusive. Town hall, Leeds train station, about people that's coming to the network just to ask for advice and getting Leeds lights. Light night, I believe, was here last Friday. Again, another one we managed to have some influence about making it more inclusive for everybody in the city. So yeah, we have a lot of impact.
And that's it. Sorry, I was going to say, it's not just about us doing things internally for staff. We also, as networks, input into work that's going on in the city as well, and, you know, give some feedback on that, as Terry's saying.
Yeah, and I think sort of it touches upon the point both of you have just sort of made, is that first of all, is that we're a huge organisation, and I think that, you know, we talk about how long it takes for things to happen, and because it is. If we're talking about things that affect all staff, we're talking about things that affect, you know, 10 to 14,000 staff, depending on the sort of time of, you know, whenever we've done pieces of work. And it's not easy to ensure that all that gets done. So sometimes it might look like we're not doing things, but most of the time it's we're waiting on things being passed through and ensuring that actually there is enough challenge in looking at things to make sure we're doing the right things. But also as well, like it's my belief, it might not be the shared belief of other people sometimes, but it's like, but we work in local authorities because we're here to make things better for people. And like that's not just internally, it's the citizens of the city. We're here to serve and to make outcomes better, like to be the best city in the UK and to be the best council. So all our work has an impact on the citizens because the work that we do, whenever people are happy and affirmed at work and feel supported and feel accepted for who they are, they're better employees, which means there's better output of work, which means it's better for the people outside. And sometimes I think that that's a thing that gets lost a lot of the time, is actually we're not doing this because we've got axes to grind. It's because we genuinely want the best for the people and for the city.
Definitely.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's it. Because we're all sitting in services that serve the city. So if we're not catering for us, then how can we effectively cater for those that are coming to use our services as well? So it's a really good point.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think we've covered some of the questions I'd already done. So obviously we're just so on the ball that we're so like-minded that we're covering a load of that. So I think what I'd like to remind people, anybody watching this, is that every year there's a theme for Day for Staff Networks, and this year's theme is Visible, Viable Voices, which we all had quite a lot of thoughts about the first time we heard it. And so I would be interested in asking my esteemed colleagues about being a viable network, because I think we've talked about our visibility, you know, a little bit, but also about being viable. And we've talked about some of the challenges we have. So I'd be interested in people's thoughts about what does being a viable network actually mean in reality?
I think it's listening to the voice of your members, because we're not all always going to agree on how we should approach things, what might be our priorities. However, it's about making sure that what you're doing serves the needs of the people that sit within your network. So I think for us, being viable is just making sure that we are seen. So understanding that it's not just everybody who has access to a computer that can be part of your network, caring about those that of all people that sit within your organisation, that they all should have access to whatever it is that you're putting on. Whatever information that you're putting out there, and then kind of making sure that people are getting just as much as out of it as they'd hope to get out of a staff network.
Absolutely agree, Rebecca. And I think being viable is also about being fluid. Because I think, you know, there'll be some staff out there who really want to support the networks and what you do. And I mean, we haven't talked about ambassadors, or, you know, we call them different things, but, you know, those are those people out there in the workplace who it's, you know, that equality and diversity inclusion is important to them, and they want to be able to tell their colleagues about the network and what they represent and how they can influence. But we also know that some people join networks actually when there are issues for them. And that's about us being responsive to that as well, and being able to take those forward and support those people. And then those people might then drift away as well. And I think also being fluid means, you know, people leave, people move on, people move into new roles, which means they need to pull back on their involvement. So it's about how we keep people involved at the level they want to be involved at, and that they see that as meaningful as well.
I think that's a really, really fair point.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's, I think that static nature of people believe in it is not true, because also there is the, like Medj touched upon, that we do this on top of our day jobs, and also that means the flexibility with us as well, is that sometimes that we have a genuine desire to do this work, but sometimes we have to be cognizant of our own levels of energy and what we have to give at the time, because a lot of the time what we talk about is unfortunately things like discrimination or issues that affect us because of our shared characteristics, and that is work that takes a toll on us even whenever it might not directly impact us. It's, you know, sometimes it's heavy work to talk about and to sort of also be, and sometimes also as chairs, I don't know if other people feel the same, but sometimes the burden of feeling like we represent and speak for the entirety of our community of the people we represent can be really quite stressful because we don't want to get it wrong. And the ability to have such a network that you can sort of flex back and go, actually, we need to take a step back from some things because otherwise people are going to go off sick, people aren't going to be well, we're not going to be able to do what we want to. And having that sort of support and engagement in your network, I think, is really, really key as well to being viable.
Being viable for me is about being that support mechanism as well for internal services. That means anybody, supervisors, line managers as well, about knowing they can go somewhere and we can either signpost and support. I think it's just having that extra measure, isn't it? And knowing that people do come to the network members to ask for their help and advice and just ask for their input for certain things. I think that makes it for me viable.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Terry, because I'd say for me, you know, with carers, I do get carers contacting me with, you know, work-related issues, you know, but it is about the conversation between the manager and the carer, and, you know, we're, you know, open to managers, supervisors, like you said, because actually, if we're supporting the staff, we need to support the managers to understand the situation, to be able to provide that support and guidance going forward. So, you know, all the networks are open to all staff, irrelevant of what their kind of job is. It's not just about being a staff, because even a manager is a member of staff, aren't they? So whatever we can do to support any staff, you know, so that their work experience is a good experience, a valued experience, then, you know, we as the networks will do whatever we need to do to support that.
I think it's about having good people around you as well. So having like a good steering group, if you want to say, or a good group behind you so that you can get the best out of your network. And also, you know, they can sort of like spread the word, you know, this is Women's Voice, this is carers, this is, you know, tell people about it. So you've got that good support around you as well. I think that's really needed as a chair or a lead of a network, because without other people you won't be able to do it.
And I think also there's something there is that our steering group members, like, there's not a sort of checklist of things you have to be a steering group member, or even a chair. I think actually some of the real skill comes from the fact that we all have really different backgrounds in terms of like our work history in the council, the work we currently do. And actually some of the real strength comes from the fact that, you know, we have skills that complement each other. It's not that all of us are project managers or have done certain jobs. Like, actually, and the same with our steering groups, everyone has different skill sets and has the ability to develop in some of those skill sets through this work. And I think that's really powerful as well, is that we've shared things together. Like, some of us are better maybe at communications, other people are better at engaging with members of staff, or they know, you know, Terry seems to know everybody in the council every time I talk to him, like, you know, and that's it. Like, that's the real beauty of it, is that complement of skill sets. It's not that we are we're not represented. We're representative of the council because we all work in such varied areas. And that's, I think, what's really nice, is that we can bring that real flavour of the true nature of the council in.
I mean, what I would add to that, though, is as steering groups, obviously we're all in different places, aren't we? We've got different support mechanisms, and some of them struggle. So, I mean, for me, it's about, if anybody's interested, you know, in joining, it's not about being fully, you know, that you've got to commit X hours, you know, but if you want to get involved on an ad hoc basis in a particular event, or you want to improve, you know, or develop in a particular area, get in touch with us, you know, because, you know, every hand helps, you know, so certainly I could do with a few hands to help me. But I think it is a good opportunity to do something different if you can, you know, make the time. And obviously, I think the key thing here is as well that, you know, that's being looked at corporately as well, in terms of, you know, dedicated, protected time for people that do get involved. So, and that's a plus, isn't it? And that's something that we have kind of pushed for. And, you know, hopefully that's going to be a success story for us based on what we feel we need.
It's about supporting other networks as well, I think. You know, I mean, like Healthy Minds, you know, we try to do sessions, which we have done sessions like with carers and Healthy Minds. You know, I've done BAME and Healthy Minds, and it's about, you know, working together like that as well, and supporting the other networks, you know, not seeing somebody down, you know, picking them up as you're going along and not just leaving them.
Well, it's what Kat was saying earlier, wasn't it? We're not just one singular thing,
No.
are we, or singular characteristic. We are multifaceted. We're everything and anything. You know, bring your whole self to work. That's the council's kind of phrase, isn't it? And it is, because, you know, I'm Asian, I'm a woman, I'm, you know, all sorts of different things, and I have different needs at different times. And that's what that collaboration that we do, I think that works really well.
And I think there's also something really, for me, that's been really interesting doing it, is that having done some of the work, like I came a bit, you know, I'm the chair of the LGBT staff network, so I did a lot of learning in order to sort of like represent, you know, there was lots of areas I didn't know about because, you know, they weren't my areas, or they were things I knew about. But also I think that sometimes people have a fear whenever we talk about equality, diversity and inclusion, and they're like, you know, you can't say anything anymore, you've got to, you know, it's all so correct and whatever. And actually, what I would sort of say to people watching this who might be a bit cynical is actually that being in these conversations and these spaces has been such an enjoyable way to challenge the really, like, some of the ideas in my head that have been, I've just been like, oh, actually that is a bit backwards, isn't it? Like, I've never, like, the way I've thought about, like, the way I approach even my day-to-day work, like I talk about like accessible design for staff, like the way that, like, if someone is a screen reader, can they look at the stuff that we do, what do we put out there, how do we ensure that, like, the language that we're using for people is the right language to engage with people. Like, the challenge for that has not been a formal severe challenge. It's been like actually it's a questioning, it's a curiosity. And I think that's what the real joy is going, oh, there's so much now I feel like I know about myself, even because of working with everybody else on it.
Yeah, that's it. And it's really simple, practical changes or questions that we're asking, where it's just, you never consider, but there are X amount of people that are out there that are struggling with that very same issue, that because nobody's ever considered something really simple, it's never addressed. And then when we do, it's just, you're improving the experience of so many different people in lots of different ways. It doesn't have to be that you know, you stood there with a placard fighting for our rights, because that's definitely not what this is. It's a lot of really nice, genuine conversations about, well, what are our needs? What's the responsibility of the organisation? What's the responsibility of the individual? How can we work together to be able to build something that we all can be really, really proud of? And I think that that's where staff networks are at the best, because like we've said, it's not just me, I'm focusing on BAME related issues and that's it, because I fall into lots of different categories. And even if I didn't, it's still my responsibility as a member of this organisation to care about other colleagues who fall into any other characteristic, just to make sure that, are you getting the same experiences as everybody else is having? And that's why it's important, so that nobody feels like they're getting left behind in any of this. And that's why it's quite a lovely thing to do or be part of. So even if you didn't want to take an active role within a staff network, just being your regular run-of-the-mill member of staff that might want to just attend a session, attend a Healthy Mind session where you get that moment to just decompress just for an hour or so, or attend a women's voice session where you can speak to other ladies talking about their experience in leadership, or any of the other sessions that any of us can offer. There's so much that you can learn or take away or add to your approach to how you are in your day-to-day life or your job, that staff networks have to offer. And it's just a really nice addition to your working week, month, or what have you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's being part of the networks, and then part of the staff network leads groups that meet. It's just been a really fantastic opportunity to grow those professional friendships and that support, and, you know, meet people that you'd never met before, and wouldn't have met if you hadn't taken part in some of these opportunities. And actually, the personal growth that you get out of that is fantastic.
I think that the flip as well on that is that, you know, we also get to contribute towards shaping policies of the future within the council, things that actually affect us as individuals, as well as obviously input into things that are, you know, kind of we do for the city, you know, employment policies, all sorts of different things that we get involved in that you wouldn't normally have access to in that way, would you? But we're not just doing it as individuals, we're doing it for the groups that we represent, and obviously we share and get comments from them as well. So I think we play a really vital role, really. You know, we're not just there. I suppose it goes back to what I said at the beginning. We're like a bridge, aren't we, between staff and management, and we carry that voice across. Sounds a bit.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not though. I think that's the truth of it though, isn't it? It's like it all sounds a bit like I was sitting here going, this is a bit of a loving, isn't it? Like it's all a bit sort of like, but I think genuinely getting to think about this and sit together and reflect on it is actually that it's true. This is not scripted. It might be very clear. It's not scripted. We're just talking about this genuinely as people, and like people who want everyone to be treated with respect. I think that's the baseline we work from. And that's the real power to it. So I think that's really good. I am mindful that I've had a wee warning flash up on my screen. So I'm going to open the floor up for the last few minutes. If there's any points anybody wants to raise about sort of the networks, I think we've covered quite a lot really in quite a short period of time. But if there's any final points people want to make about the network, I will try and do some form of editing magic, no promises, to include some of the contact details for staff networks at the end of this recording. So if you are interested, you have a way to contact people. But does anyone have any final words of wisdom?
I just want to say that sorry, Rebecca. Sorry, my mouth. I just want to say that I think that we do a marvellous job, you know, and we have been challenged, you know, these last couple of years with the pandemic, you know, what we're going to do, how we're still going to, you know, have our members, how we're still going to support our members. And I just want to say I think we've all done a fantastic job. You know, and I'm proud to be a chair.
Yeah, and you're a fantastic chair, Helen, as well. And I think it has been really tough, hasn't it, through the pandemic? And there's been some pretty nasty stuff that's gone on out there around protected characteristics that I think as a council we're moving on and addressing really well. We know there's still loads more to do, but I'm quite excited that we're going to, you know, starting to be opening up again. We've got lots of events planned always throughout the year in terms of well, I mean, obviously for me it's gone, but next year we'll have International Women's Day, but there's always something going on, and I think what I would say to people out there is to have a look, see what's happening, get yourself down to an event. You know, there's two that in the year that are overall, that is the International Day for Staff Networks, and we have an inclusion week as well towards the end of September, where there's lots of stuff going on. And you know, if you want to dip your toe into the heady world of equality, diversity and inclusion, then there'll be loads of events to go and try out.
That was beautiful.
Well said.
My last point would be you get out of your staff networks what you put in, and I think it just takes lots of different skills, abilities, voices to be able to build what we want to see out of staff networks. And staff networks have so much to offer as well. So I think where you're looking at even your own personal development or your opportunity to have access to do lots of different things that your day job might not even allow you to be able to do. Use your staff networks. It's an organisational body, so get involved. There's loads for you to be able to do, and also learn.
We're crying out for people to come and join us to take work on.
We love a new friend in all our networks.
We do.
Members.
More members, all the members. Okay, well, I think that's been really productive, and I hope that anybody who's watching this finds that this has been interesting, at least, to just hear a little bit about what we do, get a sense of us and the work that we do sort of together. So if you are interested, yes, editing magic, something, I say that like a YouTube thing, like something there on the video timeline, where you'll get some contact details about the staff networks. But you know, feel free to reach out to any of us that you sort of see on screen to ask us any more questions you've got. And I guess thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.